guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here, working on the Cub Cadet mini bulldozer again. I've got a couple of loose ends that I want to take care of here this morning real quick, and then we'll do some cleanup on the piece of 4x6 structural tubing that has been stored outside for a couple of years. It's got some surface rust on it. We'll clean that off, prime that, and so we can start working on the track frame. But I've got a couple of things I just want to take care of here that I've been postponing on the dozer frame. I'm going to, my original plan was to bolt this riser to the main frame here, but the way I've got it configured now, it's not coming off unless I remove the engine, and there's really no reason I would ever take this off. I mean, it's going to sit up here like this. Has the dash bolted to it back here, the grill bolted to it here. So I'm going to weld it. I'm just going to run, I'm going to put a short bead, inch or so long here, same on this side, and then back here on each side. If I ever do need to remove it, I can cut those welds and remove it, but I don't see any reason, that I would need to remove it. I can get to the points here, oil all the carb controls, the starter clears it. I mean, there's really no reason that I can think of that I would need to remove it without removing the engine. So I'm going to weld it. It'll also give it be just easier to do than trying to bolt it and drill and tap the frame underneath. I have already bolted the seat riser down. The other thing I went ahead and did was go ahead and put the pin through the drive shaft, so the drive shaft is all coupled up. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and run a bead on these. I've already sanded the paint off a couple spots inside the frame here and up here, so that we can just hit that with the MIG gun and fasten that riser to the frame. When I welded the front piece on this frame, I got the spacing between these studs off compared to the slots in the bottom of the grill casting. So I need to enlarge these openings a little bit. So I think I'm just gonna, I mean, this is cast iron. I think I'm just gonna use the plasma cutter and cut these openings. I need about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to give myself about 1/4 inch on each side to make them a little bit larger. This is the piece of 4x6 structural tubing that I have. It's been lying outside for over a year, so it had a lot of surface rust on it. I used a rust and paint remover pad on the grinder, took all the loose surface rust out, and actually most of the rust, and cleaned it off pretty well. And then I used this rust reformer. This stuff I swear by. It converts any remaining light surface rust to magnetite, so it converts it. So it's called a rust reformer. I use it as a primer on a lot of my projects where I have steel And I went ahead and put a coat on this. This is going to be the main front to back member for the track frame, one on each side. This piece is 12 feet long. I need a piece that's under 6 feet, closer to 5 feet. Actually, it's about 5 feet. So this will be plenty big. I'll cut this basically in half, and it's pretty heavy the way it is. I'm going to say it's, you know, it's 100 pounds, over 100 pounds as it is, to move around. So anyway, got it painted, gonna let it dry, and then we'll continue working on it from this point. I'm working on setting up the track frame. I've got the two pieces I cut earlier. This one is just set right now behind the axles, and I've leveled it with the center line of the two axles, and I've marked the overlap here and over here. My plan is to notch this tubing back to the back plate with about 1 inch clearance outside this idler wheel, and about 1 inch clearance outside away from this sprocket. I'll show you what my plan is for the frame, at least until I change it. Okay, so this is the rear axle, this is the front axle, 2-spacer sprocket, spacer idler wheel. This is the 6-inch piece of tubing viewed from above. I'm going to cut out a notch there and a notch here. Then to the front of it, I will attach another member. I'm thinking I have a 3 or 4 inch C channel that I'm expecting I will bolt into this member. And the ends will, I think I'll round them off, but they'll go past the center line of the 2 wheels, the sprocket and the idler wheel. This is not to scale. This is actually wider here in the middle, so you have to look at this as a view from above, but not to scale. And then I will have square tubing going underneath the tractor, this being the tractor, that I will weld to this 4x6, and I'll go through and go over and weld to the other 4x6. Underneath the tractor, I'll have a plate. It looks like about 24 inches long, welded to the bottom of the frame. And I'll probably attach this to the frame, maybe with some U-bolts or something through the 1/4 inch plate. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I'm working right now on this. So next step here is to go ahead and notch the 2 4x6 pieces of tubing. Then we'll figure out how to get them aligned so that I can place the rectangular tubing underneath the tractor, and also need to cut the plate out to weld to the bottom of the frame. Probably I'll have to do that before I get much further down the road on this. But anyway, this is where I'm headed. Let's see how far we get. I'm going to cut the 4x6 tubing. As I mentioned, I'm going to notch the ends. Basically going to cut across and down, and then down this edge here, leaving the bottom plate. Same on the other side. And I mean, I could do this with my circular saw. I could get most of the way through. I'm at the extreme limit of the bandsaw, but it will clear, just barely clear, the tubing over here, and I can cut most of the way down. I can cut all the way down on this corner and within about 1/4 of an inch on this corner. So this will assure me of getting a square cut, or help improve the chances of getting a square cut. So I'm going to cut all 4 ends this way, and then come back with the handheld bandsaw probably and sever the U-shaped piece off. So we'll go ahead and try this and see how it goes. All right, I just finished welding on some additional reinforcements here along the bottom edge of the main frame. A couple pieces of angle iron to match up with the one we put on a couple months ago when we first did it. So these additional pieces will give me a flat surface. Since this rolls under, it was at a different elevation than under here. So this gives me a flat surface about 24 inches wide. I did the other side as well. This will allow me to weld a plate, 1/4 inch thick plate, the full width, about 11 inches wide from side to side and about 24 inches long. And this will be where we're going to place the cross pieces that will connect the 4x6 box frame on each side. So there'll be three, I'm thinking three now, pieces of a 1.5 by 3 inch or 2 by 3 inch, this size, three pieces running from the other side over from side to side, and it'll still stick out far enough to intercept the box tube that's the main track frame member here. So my plan at this point is to attach those three laterals, 2 by 3 inch lateral rectangular tubing, or 1.5 by 3 inch, which I think is what this is. I'm going to attach them to the plate with U-bolts. I bought a number of these 1/2 inch U-bolts, and my plan is to then bolt them up to that 1/4 inch, call it the frame plate or the load plate. That's where the load between the drive tracks and will get transmitted back to the frame. Okay, so we got to let that stuff cool. I need to take some measurements, and I'm going to cut the plate, the frame plate, out on the plasma table, and I'm going to have the plasma torch cut the holes in it for the U-bolts. I just need to figure out, you know, where they're going to go in terms of their placement. And I'm limited to how far I can go here to, you know, approximately this area so that I can service that rear axle, and this area so I can change the filter on the hydro back here. So this 24 inches is about the extent of the frame that I have, you know, full access to. I'm also thinking, besides these laterals coming across, the track frame laterals intercepting the box beams, I'll probably, at least I'm thinking about, also doing some diagonals from the box beam back to the frame, either forward and backwards, to, you know, give that arrangement, you know, maximum rigidity. All right, we'll come back with the frame plate, get the frame plate welded to the bottom of the frame. Then we can start cutting some laterals from the 3 inch, I guess it's 1.5 by 3 rectangular tubing, and prop up the box tubes on both sides, see how that fits together, go from there. All right, so making some progress finally on the track frame. Alright, so this is the, I'm calling it the frame plate. It goes underneath the frame of the tractor, and the U-bolts will go through it to support the track frame laterals. So we'll take this over and put it on the frame. I'll come back and weld that fully once, you know, I'm satisfied with the arrangement here. I want to put the laterals across and bolt them on and, you know, get that set up. If I have to change this, I only have to cut a couple inches of weld. Okay, looks like it fit fine. The holes are in the right places inside. So next thing is to cut a couple, is to set up the box. Let's set up the box frames, the 4x6 tubing, I'll call them the box frames. Take some measurements and then cut some laterals. I'm working out the placement of the laterals and where they will attach to the box beams. I spent a lot of time here with levels and a string line, trying to get the center line of the two axles and centered on the center line of the box beam, and then calculating the distance from the underside of the frame plate to where that intersects the inside of the box beam. I think I finally worked it out, and I figured the length of the laterals is 27 7/8, so I'm going to cut a couple to that length and attach them to the bottom of the frame with some U-bolts and just see how they made up to the box beam. I'm in the process of bolting the first two of three laterals for the track frame to the bottom of the frame plate using U-bolts, rectangular square U-bolts up through the bottom. So I'm just at this point tightening down the bolts inside. I think I got the spacing right on the laterals here. Got the proper clearance on the idler, about 1/4 inch there. And on the center line here, same on the other side. So I'm looking pretty good. Been working on the box beam and the laterals alignment for the better part of an hour now, trying to get everything perfect. I think I've got it as close as I'm going to get it. I'm within 1/8 of an inch, worst case, and I can take that up by adjustment of the U-bolts and the laterals, maybe shimming the laterals if I have to, but I think I'm really close. I'm going to go ahead and tack, maybe a little more than tack, the laterals to the two box beams so that I can, you know, take the supporting brackets out from underneath everything. I have the box beam on the other side here supported with a bucket and a bunch of blocking. So I think I'm in a good position to go ahead and temporarily weld the laterals, these two laterals, to the box beams. All right, guys, that's it for this week. I did order a new welder, a Hobart 210. It's a 240 volt welder. The one I've been using is a 140, which is a 120 volt welder. I think I need the more amperage for better penetration, especially when I get to 1/4 inch steel. I think I need the, I'm not getting enough penetration with this welder. I've got it maxed out. So hopefully that'll come in the next week or so. Maybe we get to preview it or to debut it in the next episode. It's taken a long time to get to this point, to start working on the frame. I understand we spent a couple months working on the chassis and controls and getting the driveline set up and everything. So I'm anxious to get to the tension idler, which will be the next major thing to work on. Once we get the tension idler arranged, and I'm still thinking about the best way to mount that. I mean, it needs to be movable. It needs to be movable vertically to tension the track. So I'm thinking about different ways of doing that. I mean, it's as simple as a couple plates sliding and bolting it, which may just be the easiest thing to do. And then, then we can turn our attention to the tracks. We've gotten a lot of good comments on the tracks. I know my first couple mock-ups were, wouldn't work because the track pads were too close together. And I think that's, I discovered that, and obviously you guys have also mentioned that. So I'm still thinking about how much space. At this point, I'm going to probably do an overlap on the plates with like a 1.5 by 1/4 inch flat stock. Cut it to the width of the track and weld it to the top of one of the tracks so it overlaps the track in front of it. That'll act as a grouser as well as solve the overlap, and I think I might have 3/8 to 1/2 inch maybe between the tracks. I think I'm going to need at least 3/8 of an inch. 1/4 inch I don't think is enough. So continuing to think about that. We're some ways from actually building the track, but we're getting close. Once we get the idler tensioner on and get the tracks on, we're going to drive this sucker out of here. Before we get the hood and everything on it, we're going to just drive it. Okay, I appreciate everybody watching. It'd be great if I could get a thumbs up and a like, and if you haven't already subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming episodes. We'll come back next week with more work on the track frame here and beginning work on the tension idler. All right, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next time.